Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina wa habibina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh jami'an. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba bikum kulukum. I am Abu Baraa Muhammad Amreeki, and today we are talking about a topic about polygyny for career oriented women. This is a topic I want to discuss for a long time related to Muslim women who have certain type of careers or professional careers where they are busy and they don't have the ordinary life of most average women due to their careers, whether they are people who are professional careers like doctors, nurses, lawyers, work for companies and business, and so on and so forth. The reason why I post this particular topic is because in my time giving dawah, in my time being an imam, I have bumped into many women who have careers, professional careers. And some of these women from the Western society who have professional careers, and many times they don't have the normal marriage or schedule like most mothers. And I'm speaking about most wives, but I'm speaking about uh, the convert, revert Muslimah. All right. I speak first and foremost for the convert, the revert Muslimah from the Western society. In some cases, there's a comparison between living in the Muslim country and living in a Western country. In the Muslim world, the society within itself, it is built upon and is structured based on family and family values. So this is much being supported in the house, in the school, in the society, in the government system. In the US, we don't have a family oriented culture or society that we live in. We live in a fast, hustle, and bustle way of life in America due to the capitalist system must always keep the grinder going. So I find in this particular society in America, due to certain movements from politically where women are highly educated, women have many careers, they hold many type of positions and jobs and responsibilities, but they do not have the average life of an average woman, especially the woman in a Muslim country. And in the Muslim world, you still find career oriented women, but their wives, they're maintaining their children, they are married. In some cases, they are married to men who are very similar to them in education and very similar to them in finances or have more money than them or have same type of status as them. So today, I like to speak about the convert revert sister, in particular in the African American Muslim community, where we have a lot of women who are educated, who are career oriented women, but they're not having successful marriages. They are not having successful marriages due to the lifestyle in America and the system that we follow. from my few years being an imam and giving dawah and meeting different women from different walks of life, I have found that with the African American Muslimat who are educated women, who have career-oriented women, who makes money over 50 to 60, in some cases $100,000 a year, I find for some of them they have the worst marriages, the worst outcomes in their marriages. High divorce, can't stay married, can't find suitable husbands. And in some cases, I find some of the sisters very delusional about the reality, what they are looking for. Putting their emotions before their emotions and their wants before their needs. And the same type of mind setting that they enter into their job, their workforce, their career, the same type of mind setting, the same type of energy they put into getting these careers. They don't put the same energy into their marriages or even finding the right spouse. So this is why today I'm speaking about the topic polygyny for career-oriented women. What is polygyny? Polygyny is where a man has more than one wife. And in Islam, this is something that's from our religion. I won't be speaking about the ins and out of zawaj wa nikah wa hukuk al-nisa, hukuk al-zawjat fi Islam. Today I'm not speaking about what is polygamy in Islam. What are the ins and outs of it? What are the Islamic ruling? But here I want to talk about career-oriented women. Then some of them need to start considering polygyny for marriage and give them the reasons why and who are the candidates that they should look for these type of marriages. Now, I put an age. I'm speaking for sisters who are about this age group, right? So I'm speaking about sisters who's around the age of 34 and up. I'm not speaking about no young sisters in their 20s. I'm not speaking about no sister, virgin, bikr, jariya, some young girl. I'm not speaking about somebody in college. I'm not speaking about somebody just out of high school. I'm not speaking about somebody who's just 25 or 26-year old. I'm not speaking to these type of women. You are not my audience that I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to sisters over the age of 34 who have careers, who make more than maybe $45,000 to $50,000 a year. I'm speaking to these type of women. All right. So these are the women that I'm speaking to. Now, for sisters who have these traits, who have these qualifications, you are my audience that I'm speaking to. Now, for some women who are in this age bracket, who are looking to get married and or have been married a few times, why polygyny might be the thing for you. Now, for most of the sisters I have met who are in this bracket, who are in this pay bracket, who are in this age bracket, I find that from some of these sisters who are married, that their marriages don't last. And some of the reasons why their marriages do not last, it is because many of them do not marry the men that are compatible for them. Many of them do not marry the men who are compatible to them. I give you example. Our newest sister, she make $100,000, close to $100,000 a year, and her career was in the medical field. And she married somebody who was a security guard, who makes under $24,000 a year and has a GED. He doesn't even have a GED. He doesn't even have a high school diploma. And he was much younger than her, and she was older. And she make according to $100,000 a year. What do you think they was arguing about in their house? On her end, she was arguing about his income. And I asked this sister, I will always use it for a good example. I said, when you marry this brother, because she wanted a divorce, I said that you know this brother was a security guard who makes under $24,000 a year. She said, yes, she knew this. So I asked her, why do you marry him knowing that he makes under $24,000 a year? The brother makes $13,000 a year in reality as a security guard. He had no high school diploma. And I said, you're making $100,000 a year. You work in the medical field. Why would you marry somebody who's making $13,000 a year and you knew this? I said, because you put your hawa before this. You put your desires before this. And I said, now you're married and the sex, which she married somebody young for sex, the sex is not paying the bills. And you have this degree and you have this type of job and you're making this type of money, but you're noticing you're maintaining your household, your children, and you're maintaining your husband. And it said, now you are financially frustrated. And the reasons why you marry him was for sex, in this case, is not helping you now. A lot of sisters fall in this category. A lot of the sisters, they fall in this category for some reason. A lot of the sisters make these type of bad decisions when they get married. A lot of sisters, they don't look at the numbers, but when they go to work, they look at the numbers. They're making somebody else rich. They are financing somebody else's company. They are making progress in their workplace and they make the best decisions to get certain positions, to get certain salaries. But when it comes to the marriage now, they're not making the best decision and they're following their emotions in most of the cases. So this is what I have. Most of the sisters who are in these positions with these type of jobs, maybe polygyny for you is the right answer. And when I say polygyny, I mean for you to marrying the right person, the right brother, meaning that another brother who's also in the same type of position you are in, where he is a career-oriented brother, he has a career where he's making good money, enough to support 2 or 3 families, or he's a businessman and he makes enough money to support 2 or 3 families, that this might be the type of brother or man you need to consider. One, you won't have to be a full-time wife with him. So you going to your job, you focusing on your career, which means that you don't have to focus a lot of your time and your effort inside the home. Meaning that when he's making his rounds or he's spending his nights with his other wife and attending to his other children or those children under his care, that this is time where you don't have to be chasing and doing what a husband wants in the household. You could relax yourself and you could be in your career. And then when the time or the nights are for your day or for him, your days, that your marriage concentration is for these particular certain limited numbers of nights where you're getting your maintenance, you're getting a form of social relationship with a husband, you're getting your needs financially, spiritually, sexually, you'll be getting them, and you don't have to spend the time being a full-time wife. And some other scenarios, men do marry women like this. And the reason why some men who are businessmen, who are brothers who have a certain type of careers, who can afford 2 or 3 families, a lot of times they won't mind marrying a sister like yourself. One, intellectually, you'll be on the same level intellectually. And socially, you'll be on the same level, socially and intellectually. And I'm not speaking about the small little things or the small little things that a person is attracted, makes a person attracted to another person, pulling that aside, saying all these things are met. The religious duty, religious, the appearance you're satisfied with, the religion of the person you're satisfied with these things being covered already. But the person who has the same type of social status as you or education like you, intellectually, you two will be on the same level. You two will be on the same level. So this is one thing that you will have in common. This is one of the pros of this type of marriage. So while you in your career, chasing your career, and there's nothing wrong with you having a career, despite what brothers say about Kevin Samuels, about men are not looking for women who are in their job all day, working all day. I'm not Kevin Samuels. I don't take this route because I live in the Muslim society. I lived in the Muslim world. And in the Muslim world, you have women who are doctors, lawyers, educators, and they're married, and they have family, and they have children, and they are happy. And men desire them. In some cases, some of these women, they're second and third wives, depending on the society in the country. And if you want to look into that type of ratio, women who in polygamous marriage who are highly educated and have wealth, all you got to do is look at Malaysia. All you got to do is look at the Muslim country, Malaysia. Malaysia have a high rate of women who are educated, have money, and they love polygyny. They love polygyny. They're married to a man who has 2 or 3 wives, who has the income, who's a businessman, or he has the wealth. He's a wealthy person. And they're happy in these type of marriages, and men desire women like this. So the next thing I want to bring about, having some technical issues here. One of the next benefits here is that the next benefit in this scenario would be the intellectual person who marries, right? Say the sister, she's very highly intellectual and she marries somebody. I want to mention this hadith. I want to mention this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he told one of his companions to marry a virgin. To marry a virgin. And this is something that's very important. All right, so this is the narration of Jabir ibn Abdullahi, may Allah be pleased with both of them, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked me, have you got married? And I said, yes. He said, a virgin or previous married woman, because the Prophet told them in another narration to marry a young virgin so he has somebody to play with, right? She said she's a virgin or previously married. And I said, a previous married woman, a thayyib. He said, why not a young girl whom you could play with and she could play with you? MashaAllah tabarak. I said, I have sisters. Listen now. I have sisters and I want to marry a woman who could gather them together and comb their hairs and take care of them. He said, you will reach. So when you have arrived at home, I advise you to associate with your wife that you may have an intelligent son. Right? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was provoking for him to have a what? Intelligent child. The woman being previous married, right? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, may you have an intelligent child. And we could look at some of the wisdom that he married the woman previous married to help him with his female children, to be the example for them. And may Allah give them what? Intelligent son. So imagine you now, sister. You've been previous married. They're not working. You have a career that takes a lot of your time. You're not like the average woman. You're not like no young girl in high school. You're not like no young girl in their 20s. You have a lot of responsibility with your careers, with your household. If you marry a man into polygyny who has income, who have the high intellect, think of some of the benefits you will have from this, or the benefits that could come from this. Imagine you have now children with this person. You both have intellect. You both have a social status that's closely the same. You're both are intellectual. What type of children will you have in your case? An intellectual father who's providing, have more than one wife, which means then he's a very responsible man. And then he has the leadership abilities. Having 2 or 3 wives, that's not easy to do. Even if you have the money, that's still not easy to do. What type of intellectual children now you will have with their father? You are highly educated, or you have a good education. The man has a good education, or is a smart businessman. And imagine you have children now. What type of children you will have? Inshallah, you will have what? Intellectual children. And to have 2 good role models in the house. And then including his other children from his other wives and this broad family. Then we could start to look at, this is how you build communities from family and becoming family. Those who have intellect or intellectual and responsible, marrying other people who have intellect and are responsible. What type of children will come from this function, from this design? You have very intellectual children. That's the great benefit from that. You have intellectual children who have around them good examples. Now, for you sisters who have these degrees, who's making like $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, and you have other children. Now, male children or female children, as I keep on saying, I'm not Kevin Samuels. In Islam, we promote this, marrying women with children. Even the companion in this narration I'm reading here, he has sisters. And he married a woman who's not a virgin. Well, the Prophet told him virgin. And the companion understood, well, he has sisters, and the virgin is just like his sister. She don't know how to take care of them. So he married what? A woman who is thayyib. Thayyib means in Arabic, previously married. or lost her virginity, whether the halal way or the non-halal way. Right? You marry her. He married her based on what? To what? Help him with his sisters. And the prophet seen this type of thinking with the companion and said, may Allah give you intellectual son. So imagine you sisters have children now. You have a child now with somebody. Your marriage didn't work out, or you had your child. We're going to say you are Thayyib, whether it's from before Islam or while you're Muslim, whether they from Zina or not. Right? Now you're Muslim. You find this intellectual, responsible Muslim man who has this type of finance, have the income to maintain 2 or 3 families. You marry him, then these children has a role model, male and female, positive role model in the house. Now, when we talk about in America, people say Pookie and Ray Ray in a single female household. I live in the Muslim world. And in the Muslim world, they also have single female household, but not by choice. Not by choice. From the decree of Allah, either or the woman is a widow, the husband died, or the husband's on drugs, and they got a divorce, or they got a divorce. In the poor Arab countries, you're going to find that. Women are widow, either for 3 reasons. I mean, the women are with children in divorce for 3 reasons. The husband died, he died, so the child is fatherless. Or they got a divorce for some reason, or the man's on drugs, the father's on drugs, and they got a divorce. In the Arab world, you got this, right? You got this in the Arab world. Trust me. Been married to an Egyptian for 11 years. You'd be surprised some of the stories I got for Egyptian peoples. People be on drugs. People, fathers be on drugs in Egypt, in the Arab countries. Don't poor Arab countries. People, family members, fathers be on drugs. On drugs. Right? So some of the Arabs would say they don't want to marry the woman who is yatima. Right? The woman is yatima. The woman who is yatim, considered to be orphan. You're going to say because that woman, she grows up in a household with her mother and she never see the mother interact with the father, right? So she doesn't know how to treat the husband or show him love and affection because she never seen this in her household. This is what Arabs say. Arabs do say this, some of them, not all of them. So they think twice before marrying these type of women. And that's why Allah revealed in the Quran about marrying these type of women and maintaining these type of women. Why? So they have somebody to take care of them and show them affection and love. But in the Arabs, some of the psychology, they would say some of their thinking of people, no, because she's not going to show me affection. All right. Now imagine you now, sister. You have children, whether male or female. You get married. You remarry somebody, your children gets a role model in the house. Role model. Role model in the house. Right? A role model. And inshallah, it'd be a positive role model. Right? A positive role model. If the children don't have the positive role model, who they're going to take as the role model? Well, some would say, and this is a very common answer for a lot of us in the reverts or American Muslims, where they say they're going to find the role model in Kitab and Sunnah. And that's a good answer. But how many of us could buy a book on being a surgeon and from reading the book become a surgeon without going to a university and having a professor? How many of us could open the book on being a surgeon, and from reading the book alone, without any education, without any university, without any professors who know about medicine, can we perform surgeries? The answer is going to be no. Even in psychology, I can't read book on psychology and start giving people diagnosis. Just like I can't read books on medicine or surgery and become a surgeon. I have to go through the trials of learning the education system. Same thing with the Sunnah. If I'm going to say I want to practice the Sunnah, we have many books in religion, on Islamic religion of the Sunnah, but you need somebody to teach you, and you need some what? You need a role model for learning. So you can't say that, well, if they don't have these examples, they could get it from Kitab and Sunnah. They need to somebody who understands Kitab and Sunnah, showing them how to put in practice what's in the books. So they need a role model. They need this role model. And if they don't get this type of role model, what type of dysfunction they're going to have growing up? Many of the dysfunction we find in African American or Muslim community today, it always go back to no accountability and no role models. No leaders, no role models, and no accountability, right? These things have flooded into the African American Muslim community. And we can see a lot of these things in some places. We can first see the dysfunction when we look inside our household. So imagine now, you're a sister, you're highly educated, which I mean a lot of Muslim sisters every day, all the time, highly educated, but they make the poorest decisions when it comes to marriage. The poorest decisions. And then we have from some of the sisters who are highly educated, they not just have the poorest decisions, some of them have the poor manners. They don't have the Islamic manners. They have the feminist manners. And that prevents them from having happy or successful marriages. Then I have found some of the sisters who do have the education, who do have the money, making these type of jobs. They don't want to get in a polygamous marriage or polygyny. They don't want to get in a polygyny marriage. Well, then the reality is for you, sister, that most men who are successful or in the move of becoming successful or becoming rich, their first choice for a wife sometime is going to be the virgin girl, the young girl, and not you. You're not going to be their first choice for a wife in the beginning. Somebody who's never been married before. You're not going to be the first choice for that person. And then that's a young guy I'm talking about, maybe in his 30s. An older gentleman, maybe he would deal with you because he's been married maybe once or twice, or he has children, or he's an older adult who have experience in his life. Maybe he would deal with you. But for those sisters who are busy with the careers, chasing the careers, you need to think about polygyny. You need to think about it. Because you could do what you're doing. You could be in your careers. At least you know what your husband's doing. At least you would know where your husband at. At least you would know who your children are. At least you would know who his children are, and who their mother are, and who they are. But one thing must be up front or foremost, everybody must fear Allah. Everybody must fear Allah. The man must fear Allah, and the woman must fear Allah. Everyone must fear Allah. And then with saying all of this polygyny and talking about this topic, everything ain't peaches and cream in marriage. I don't care. Monogamous marriage, everything is not peaches and cream. Monogamous marriage, polygamy, no one's gonna have Disney holiday marriage. That's not real. That's not real. That's not realistic. Even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his wives used to trial him, and he is the Nabi. As Aisha radiallahu anha, one day the Prophet had a bowl of food. It was from one of his other wives, and she smacked it out of his hand. And he is the Prophet. Out of jealousy, she smacked it out of his hand. And he is the Prophet. He is the Prophet. And his wife smacked the bowl out of his hand. And her father is the close companion of the Prophet Abu Bakr. And she smacked it out of his hand. And the wives of the Prophet used to play tricks on him because they used to be jealous. He was jealous. Another time they played a trick and they said he had a bad breath or something foul odor from his breath. It was another occasion where Prophet married one woman, and when he went to her, she said to him, "Ittaqillah." She said to him, "Fear Allah, or I seek refuge in Allah for you." I can't remember which narration, right? But she told him, "I seek refuge in Allah from you," or she told him to fear Allah, something like this. The Prophet divorced her due to her etiquettes. So we can't talk about, you in the marriage and everything is going to be peaches and cream. You need to get out of this Disney capitalist garbage that they sell you to make money, to tell you stories on marriages and relationship that it's not realistic. Nowhere in the religion of Islam you're going to say you're going to have khair fi kullu waqt khair. For all occasions and everything's going to be good and jolly and no trials and tribulation. No one said this. The Sahaba, Radwanullah, they had good times and they had bad times. Look when they boycotted the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was in Mecca, and how the boycott caused his wife Khadija radiallahu anha, Mu'minin, to die. Look when they ran the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam out of Ta'if. Look when the people of Quraysh came to fight the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Badr. Look when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when his daughters died. Look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when his son died. Look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when his uncle Hamza died. Look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when his cousin Jafar died. Look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when Zayd died in one of the battles, and his uncle. So no one said it in Islam you're going to have a jolly times and your marriage is never going to be perfect. But if you put the gadgets for your career, to all lead to one way and to a certain type of success, and you go through the hustle and bustle of getting these careers, and you go through the long hours, in debt, studying, working, internships, working with people you don't like, and you will calculate, you'll go through all of that to get this career, to get some type of outcome, then you think you will go into your marriage and everything going to be pieces and creams. I'm not saying that you marry your enemy. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you to marry the worstest person, but you need to put some of these emphasis into the marriage and to calculate who are the type of women or men that you want to marry. Will be good for your scenario, be good for your situation, because we have a lot of sisters here in the West, especially in the African American Muslim community, who are educated and they single and by themselves and their marriages don't work out. And then I meet a lot of these sisters and I look at the people who they were married to. It's just, I met a sister not long ago. I mean, last year sometime. Master's degree in psychology. I'm looking at her husband, her spouse. I'm like, your husband, this guy's a buffoon. This guy's a buffoon. How you marry somebody like this? A buffoon, not educated. I'm like, how you have master's degree, marry somebody like this? I met sister like this before. Husband is a buffoon. A buffoon. Then they wonder why the marriages don't work. And then out of the marriage, it falls apart and they have children now. These children have a home where there's no parents in it. And the real choice is up to the women. Sometimes the women, they look for the wrong things. And they don't get with people with good situations. And they be the first ones to say, no, they don't want polygamy. They don't want polygamy. Sometimes you got to look at some of the men who, for polygyny, who have money, who are educated, might be a good scenario for your situation, especially what type of good could come out of it, right? There's another question I wanted to post. And some people ask this related to the society that we live in today, especially in the African American and Muslim community, where the women are more educated than the men. And this is a reality where the women are more educated than their counterparts. And that's due to the feminist movement in America, in the black community. That's due to the white supremacist movement in America to cause a dysfunction between the male and female counterpart. Incarcerate the men and educate the women, telling them this is liberating you or freeing you. And from one of the worst people who are described in the Quran, Farun, right? And describing what the people of Egypt did to Musa, the children of Bani Israel. What did they do? They disgraced their women by taking their male child and killing them and leaving their female children. I don't know how we could talk about we Muslim, but we don't ponder on no Quran, and we don't ponder in the society that we live in today, and we don't see how American society is treatment with black people is the same treatment of Pharaoh, what they did with the children of Bani Israel. Bani Israel, what Pharaoh did to the children of Israel, what? They dishonor their women. They killed their male children and left with their female children. American society, due to white supremacy, which is real, the treatment of black people in America, historically, the mass incarceration of males, black males, they're breaking up the household and making a single female household and pushing education on the women and not pushing the same type of education on the men and incarcerating men and throwing drugs in their community and restricting them to restricting them to finances. And making the leaders in the community criminals and rappers who are talking about criminals and looking and degrading blacks and black women, and the government pushing for the women education and making it easy for her to get it, what appears to be easy for it. Then we wonder why the women are highly educated and the men are not, or there's only a few of us that are, but there's a lot of highly educated black women, and you sitting here and you'll think this is not by design. Then the reality is, how are you going to combat this? How are you going to combat this? So then the question is, the women who have wealth or have education, what about you marrying men who might not have these educations that you have, who don't have the education that you have, but have a good heart, religious, devoted, hard worker, that you use your education, that you use your resources to build the black community through the black man, the Muslim man. I ain't talking to no Arabs right now. I'm not talking to no Indians, no Desi Muslims. I'm talking to African American Muslims. Because if we keep on going this rate with this thinking and how it's not leveled, we're going to lose our numbers. So the next question is, for women like this who have this education, they might say, I don't want polygyny. Labas, no problem. But they might turn around and say, I wouldn't mind working with a brother. Won't you use your education to build? That's all I'm going to say. Use your education, your hard work, which you use it already for your bosses to get rich, for the white man who's your boss to get rich. You use your education to make him rich. Won't you use your education to empower the black community? That's real talk.